The power of principles. Having principles that are well designed is amazingly powerful. And we often don't appreciate that. So I'm going to use an example, a simple example of a principle that I use in my life and show you how it was well designed. There's actually 5 principles to designing good principles. And the first principle designing good principles is that it needs to serve a higher purpose. And with the ultimate higher purpose being your happiness and the happiness that you want for others. So the specific principle we're going to use as an example here is I have a principle that whenever I think of something I want to buy, I immediately put it in the task list for my assistant to see the next day and to order it in right away or in a timely manner. So this is the principle. So does it serve a higher purpose? Well, the ultimate purpose, of course, is happiness, but there's sub-purposes like, okay, I want to be able to have things when I need them and enjoy this or enjoy that, and things work together for the other parts of my life. So ordering things online when I need them in a timely manner really serves that. So it fits with the higher purposes. Okay. So the second principle is that it needs to, the benefit needs to be more than the cost. So in this particular case, when I look at the cost, sure, I can see a lot of benefits, but I look at the cost. Well, it does take time. It takes some time to write those, enter those into the task list. But I really enjoy the process. I say, oh, it's really nice to have this system, and I'm implementing this system, and then I'm looking forward to getting this item because I know I've taken the first step in having that item come to me. So there's pleasure in that. So there's actually, the only cost is, you could say, takes a little bit of time, but I'm enjoying that time, so it's in that way it's hardly any cost at all. So the third important thing is it needs to fit with the other principles in your life. So one of the principles in my life is that my assistant has instructions to look at the things to order and to order those things. So it fits with that guideline or that principle. Also, I have another principle that whenever I go outside, I'm not near my computer, I always take a blank business card in my pocket with a pen. So that if I think of something to order during that time, I write it down on a blank business card, and when I get back, I enter it into the right place. So there's another action habit that I have, which you can call a principle, to always have that blank business card and always write down on it and transfer it when I get back. Okay, so it fits, those two things fit together. A fourth principle in terms of designing good principles is that it's, okay, the principle needs to be okay with the now part of you and the next part of you. In this particular case, I could have a different principle, or you could call it no principle at all, in which, well, I'll just enter things into the task list if I feel like it. If I don't feel like it at the moment, I won't do that. So that could be a principle that perhaps Dwight now could like, but Dwight next wouldn't be happy with that principle. So they work together and they both can agree on the principle that I have, and Dwight now is happy with that too, because he can enjoy the process of that. So you need to make sure that your principles are fit for both the now part of you and the next part of you, so that you can make sure that you can execute them. Because if the next part thinks they're a good idea, but the now part doesn't think it's a good idea, or isn't agreeable at the time that needs to be done, then you're not going to be able to implement your principles consistently. The final principle for designing good principles is to provide for valid exceptions to the rule. One example, just about the only example with this principle, is sometimes I'm in bed at night, dozing off to sleep, and I think of something I want to buy. Okay. Yes, I could get out of bed and go and put that in the task list, but that would have some cost in terms of not getting to sleep as early and waking me up again. So in a case like that, I give myself permission to not do it. And what I'll generally do is I'll just try to create a quick visual image of when I see my computer screen the next morning, that there'll be a picture of what I want to buy next to the computer screen. And usually that's enough so that the next morning I'll actually remember that and put it in. But I give myself permission to, the principle doesn't apply in cases where I'm dozing off to sleep. So the 5 principles for designing good principles are that they serve the higher purpose, that they fit with your other principles and guidelines and habits, that the benefit is more than the cost, that the now part of you and the next part of you can both work together to implement the principles, and finally to provide for exceptions when the principle should not apply. Thank you.